Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you guys how to change this 50-year-old outlet. Yes, you heard me right, 50-year-old outlet. So first thing I'm going to do is remove this cover. I was just afraid that water would get in it because it looked so old when I first moved in. I just didn't trust it at all. Just look at that thing. So here I've got this Fluke voltage tester. The tip glows red and the beeper makes a sound when voltage is detected. So here it is, and I'm going to use this thing to see if there's any voltage. So first thing, we turn it on by pressing this button, and then we're going to see a red light come on and it's going to continuously blink. Now when I stick it in here, I'm getting a continuous red light. As you guys can see, I'm getting a continuous red light, which is telling me that there's voltage there. So this thing is getting power. Next step, you want to shut off the breaker. You don't want to work on this live. So I'm going to start by removing the cover. And I want you guys to pay attention that this is just a 2-prong outlet. So there's no third prong for the ground. And I'm going to show you guys when I open it up later. So here, we're removing the cover. You just want to be careful. There's even rust falling out of there. I mean, look at this thing. It's so dirty, so worn out, and you could just see that in there, all rust. All right, let's get in a little bit closer and just see what we're dealing with here. So this outlet is seriously older than I am. I can't believe this. I know we killed the breaker, but just to be sure, we're going to check again, and there is no voltage here anymore. And I always say safety first. So this is a second way that we can check to see if there's any voltage here. So I'm going to put this to alternating current. It's that V with the little sine wave looking sign there. And then I'm going to stick this into one end, and I'm going to stick the lead into the other end. And I am not reading any kind of voltage there, so that's good. Now what I'm really looking for here is to see if there's 120, and there isn't. So I'm good to go. That's reading 0.9 something, which is nothing. So first I noticed that this siding is covering part of this outlet. And in order to remove that screw, I'm going to need to remove a piece of this siding. So it looks like the siding was probably put on after this outlet was even here. So that doesn't surprise me because just look how old this outlet is. I'm going to use a scissor and I'm going to try to just kind of carve out a piece. So I'm hoping I can do this without having to remove more siding than what I need to. So right now I'm just going to remove enough siding just to get to that screw so that we can remove this outlet out of here. And in the event that I have to readjust this, I'll have to cut some more out to put the new outlet in. But we'll see when we get to that point, and then we'll take it from there. So far, I got a nice clear path to this screw at the top here. So I'll be able to just take this guy out. All right, let's remove these screws. Hopefully they come off easily. They're really old, so I hope they don't just disintegrate or break apart. So we'll see. So far, it seems like it's coming out nicely. And there, that's the first screw. And we're going to take out the second one. You really want to just kind of take your time and feel it out, because who knows when this thing was put in. All right, so now we're going to remove this out of the box. Just take your time. Sometimes these wires can be really brittle, so you just want to be careful not to damage any wires. Oh my gosh, just look at this. It's just unbelievable. We got two wires here. We got a black wire and a white wire. That's your line and your return. And it looks like there's cobweb in here. I mean, rust, all kinds of stuff from way back in the day. Now, if you just look at the condition of this thing, I mean, I can't believe this is older than I am. All right, let's get this thing out of here. All right, so I'm not really concerned about really breaking this, so I'm going to use the gun to just loosen up that screw, give me a little more force. And you really want to kind of finesse this wire out of here. And just, there we go. We got the first one out. Now we're going to flip this and take the line side out. And I really love this Milwaukee gun that I use here. It's so handy. All right, so we're going to remove the other wire here. Just fighting with it a little bit. And there it is. What an ugly outlet. I'm sure it served this purpose for the past 50 years. So here I've got this TayMac brand outlet cover, and I got this off of Amazon. It's supposed to be an all-weather, weatherproof, vertical or horizontal mount. And you see all those configurations there. It's pretty cool. So we're going to pop this thing open and we're going to prep it for the job. So here we go. Let's see what's inside. So we basically have the plastic cover, the piece in the back that seals to the box. And here we've got this type of outlet shape that you can plop in depending on your outlet, if you have this type or if you have the rectangular type. So that's pretty cool. I like that they include that. Gives you a lot of options there. So this is the one that I'm going to install. All right, so this side of the outlet, which is the small side here, is your line and usually gold screws. And here, the bigger one is your return or your white wire, and those are silver screws. So that's just a rule of thumb to keep in mind when you are wiring this up. All right. So when we install this, it should look something like this. And of course, that's without the cover, but that's the idea. All right, so first thing, I'm wiring up the line side of this outlet. And I'm just going to adjust the shape of the wire to go onto this outlet here. And it's a good idea to grab a linesman pliers. These are linesman pliers. They help me to easily bend the wire into place and shape however I want to shape it. So it's pretty good. So here I'm kind of straightening it out because I'm going to stick the wire straight in and then I'm going to screw it in. So remember that little short piece is going to go to the line side. All right. And I just separated the return at the top there. So I'm just going to adjust the length of the wire because you don't want it too long where it's sticking out too much out of the outlet. And at the same time, you don't want it too short because it will not make proper contact. So here I am now working on the return line and just straightening out that wire and prepping it as well, making sure that it is ready to go. I'm going to take a little bit off of there to give it just the right length. All right, so once I get that wire into place, I'm going to use a screwdriver and I'm going to secure this. You don't want to use the gun doing this part because you really want to feel what you're doing, and just in case something doesn't feel right, you could loosen it out and then retighten it. So that feels good. Give it a nice tug and it shows you that it's secure. Now this side is the return side, as you can see, and I'm going to secure this with my screwdriver. So this green screw that you see here on the outlet would be your ground. So if we had a ground wire, this is where we would install it. But we do not have a ground here because this is such an old outlet. They never used to even put grounds in. So I'm just gonna screw that in and leave that in place there. Now, because this is a metal box, I am going to use this electrical tape around the corners and edges of this outlet. I just want to be sure that there is no contact between any of these terminals and the box. And especially when there's no ground, I want to make sure that I take all precaution. And you should do the same when working with an older outlet. So make sure you do that. All right, so I'm going to try to size this up and see if this outlet fits flush in this box. It is an older box and they designed them a bit smaller. And so as you can see, I'm having some trouble getting it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can remove some siding at the top there, just to give me a little bit of extra room there. And so I'm going to use a scissor and cut the excess siding so I can have some more clearance here. And this is hopefully going to solve my problem, and we'll see how it does. So there we can see the entire box, and I'm going to try to put this in, and it feels like there is some obstruction there. After having a closer look, there's a couple things I notice. There's quite a bit of debris and rust and just all kinds of stuff in this box. So I'm going to just go ahead and remove all of that. This is just years and years of just buildup in here. So once I get that cleaned out, I'll show you guys what I noticed. If you look at the bottom of the box, on the left and right side, you see two screws protruding up, and that is preventing me. And I see there's one here at the top as well, a screw that's protruding, and one on the left as well that's protruding. So that's preventing me from putting this entire outlet into this box. And because the box is so tiny to begin with, I can't get this outlet in there. So I'm going to have to shave off and cut those screws so I can get this outlet in here. So the weapon of choice here is an oscillating tool with a titanium blade. And I'm basically just going to move this aside and cut those screws. So that's pretty much how it looks after I cut it. You can see at the top, there's no more protruding screw at the top or bottom. And it did the job, because I can fit the outlet into the box now. And it is a tight fit, but it fits. So that works great right there. So the next thing you want to do is grab your all-weather box here, and you want to assemble it together. Next step is that you're going to take this cover and you're going to hold it up to this outlet with the screws there that are loose. You don't want to fully tighten those screws in yet, and you want to just slide it into place. And then once you have it in place, you can secure it. So right now I'm just loosening the screws a little bit, and then I'm just sliding this cover into those two screws that secure the outlet to the box. And here I'm holding it in place, and you really want to line this up properly, because once it gets drawn in and it snags anywhere, it's going to be a problem. You could potentially crack the cover. So you just want to put your screw gun on a nice low setting and just kind of feel and go slowly and just tighten that down. And we want to make it snug enough to seal against the box, because we want this to be weather tight. And that's it. That's feeling very nice and very sturdy. Now you really want to just kind of push around here a little bit and make sure everything is secure, because the last thing you need is something happening when this is energized. So I'm just checking to make sure that during normal use that this thing is indeed secure and that the outlet is in place correctly. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to flip our breaker back on, and we're going to go here. I've got another tester here. This is a GFCI tester, but it also shows you whether the wiring was done correctly. And I'm just going to plug it up. Now there, as you can see, I have two orange lights that turn on. That's on the right and the middle. So there you can see correct says right and middle needs to be lit, and that is correct. So now you guys know how to go from this to this. I want to thank you guys for joining me today. Please like and subscribe to my channel to continue to get more contents like this one.